You're a waste of time.
The Catholic Encyclopedia.
Yeah, you're a waste of time.
With the Catholic Encyclopedia.
You're a waste of time.
Wait,
Catholic Encyclopedia.
You're a waste
be
of
careful.
time.
Dean, you've been caught out.
Let's not devolve into that.
You've been caught out. I literally Googled it and it referenced. Did he leave?
Yeah, I think he dropped.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we're going to be covering a really awesome live stream that happened between me and Rob from Sentinel Apologetics and our good friend Dean Responds. Now, Dean Responds has been running for months and months now from any kind of debate on the Islamic dilemma, but I just so happened to be looking across YouTube and I saw that Sentinel Apologetics was streaming, and lo and behold, there was Dean Responds. Not only that, but he was giving a presentation on our favourite topic, the most beloved topic there is, the Islamic dilemma. And he was trying to explain by giving a nice presentation, and Rob was just humbly, he was just listening, you know. Rob wasn't engaging, he wasn't arguing, he wasn't debating, he was calmly listening, letting Dean give his own presentation about what that Injil supposedly is. So I thought I'd join. And after waiting a while and people saying I should join in the chat, so begins the hilarious long-winded process of Dean trying to not let me on the live stream. He is terrified. Like, watch this clip. Tell me what you think this guy's thinking right now. Does he sound like a man who's confident, or does he sound like a man who wants to get out of there as quickly as possible? Let's watch this.
Yeah. So
Chris, I noticed Chris wants to join. Would you like him to come up?
I mean, yeah. So what we can do with Chris is, after I finish the whole presentation and you do your whole questions and back and forth, if we can get a debate on the Islamic dilemma as well as a debate on what I would like to present on the Christian dilemma, then I would love to speak to Chris, if we can get those formal debates going. But for you, I don't mind in giving my presentation like we organized. And
Give it. Yeah.
Okay.
Would you like Chris to come up? I can send him the link and he can come up here, or just.
I mean, yeah, he can. But if I want to discuss with him, I would want to discuss in a debate format. And you don't want this to be a debate format between me and you, right?
No, I mean, I'll actually tell Chris, this is a discussion. If he comes up, I mean, he's asked to come up. I'm not, this is sort of all impromptu. If he can model the type of discourse we're having right now.
If we can, so what we can do is we can finish the presentation. You can ask whatever you need to ask. And then by the end, you can invite Chris up and we can discuss organizing a debate on the Islamic dilemma, on the condition that we debate the Christian dilemma, because I think that Christians do have a real dilemma where the New Testament confirms the Old Testament. However, I don't think they have real continuity, and they cannot appeal to the fact that the Old Testament is corrupted, because you guys don't believe the Old Testament is corrupted, right?
All right.
So, yeah. So if we can get that discussion going, then I would love to also get a debate with Chris. So, but yeah, you could invite him at the end.
I'll put the join link. And then I'll just keep him.
Yeah, just keep him on the backstage, and then at the end we can discuss organizing that formal debate, hopefully. Okay. So the Quran doesn't envision this for the Injil. So
just FYI, Chris is at the back. Let me know when to bring him up. I can bring him up.
So just whenever I'm done like presenting and you're done with your questioning, or we can speak to him about formulating the debate, the time for the debate on the Islamic dilemma and the time for the debate on the Christian dilemma, right?
Sure.
But yeah, so let's try to finish this with your questioning.
Over and over again, Dean keeps saying it's like the most politician way ever. Yes, I'd be happy to have a chat with Chris, just only about the Christian dilemma, not the Islamic dilemma. I don't want him to give any commentary on this presentation, and I only want to debate him later. Let's debate about having a debate. And I was just sitting here like, I'm gonna have a lot of fun. Tonight. It's gonna be glorious. So eventually I do get up.
So that's pretty much it for the most part, the intertexts that I could show you. What the Quran,
which is quite extensive. Yeah. There's a lot of intertextual links.
Okay, so just for a bit of context, this is about the letter to Iraq.
Sorry.
You're good.
That's all right.
Hi guys, how are you both doing? I can't remember how long it is. It was a few hours, like 2 hours maybe. But we have this discussion, and there's a lot to cover in it, and a lot of things that Dean messed up on that I think are gold. and really big red flags to Muslims as well. So I'm going to break this up into parts because doing everything in one video would make the video over an hour long if I really wanted to go through everything that he did that he messed up on. But he messed up big time. So in this clip, I'm just going to show one thing, and then I'll make other videos where I show other things, and I'll also post, probably before this video, the actual full debate. Hopefully Rob doesn't mind me doing that, because I want as many people as possible to watch it. Assuming I remember in the future, you should be able to click the link up here to access that video of the full debate. But this video is just going to show one particular aspect. Dean really wanted to not talk about the Islamic dilemma. In fact, his own video that he posted to summarize this interaction, I guess you could call it an interaction, he actually doesn't even cover any of his own stuff, which was the entire reason he was there to begin with. So he just cuts that out. He's basically like, actually, I don't want to show the Muslims what I really think about the Injil and how there's wahi contained in the Injil. I don't want any Muslim to know I think that. So I'm going to cut that out, and then I'm going to have a much shorter video which is just the highlights from his argument he makes to me that supposedly I'm heretical because I believe that Christ has two natures, one divine and one fully human. He thinks this is heretical according to the Catholic and Eastern Orthodox Church. I don't know why he didn't throw in Protestant churches in there as well. He may as well have just said everyone thinks that's heretical, but he just mentioned those. This is going to be hilarious because he doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. But let's watch. But regarding what you said about Christians and Jews being able just to stick to their works, I'm agnostic about what happens after this, after the Quran is revealed. But beforehand, they were bound to it. And this, for me, opens up a whole can of worms, because if we are to think that the Quran is saying that the previous scriptures are generally reliable, because they point enough to Islam as to give, presumably, salvation to the Christians and Jews, then when we look at what they had historically, this seems to be problematic, because it seems as if those texts, like the Injil, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, it looks as if those texts actually would not save you, particularly the Injil. The Injil, from an Islamic paradigm, you would end up committing shirk, even if it's even if it's a lesser form of shirk,
because of the deity stuff.
But
we don't grant that interpretation of deity.
Let's take a weaker form of it. Even if it's just Jesus is not merely a prophet, that would be problematic enough, right? Like
what do you mean? You're being very it's ambiguous. What do you mean? So
for example, Jesus says, I believe in the Gospel of John, that he came down from heaven. So,
there's good probable interpretations about that. The same way that in James it talks about things coming from heaven, but it doesn't necessarily come literally from heaven. So there's Unitarian plausible interpretations.
Unitarian would agree with that.
That Jesus literally came down from heaven and pre-existed.
Well, yeah, Unitarian.
There's two types of Unitarians.
What's the other type?
So there's two types. I want to tell you. One type, they believe Jesus pre-existed, another in a real sense. The other one, they don't believe he existed in a real sense. It's merely in a notional sense, where maybe you could say in God's mind or whatever, stuff that's compatible with Islam, essentially, that he doesn't literally pre-exist, right? So that sort of Unitarian interpretation, they give plausible cases for stuff like what you just
Unitarianism would take John 1:1 and say that Jesus is a God. They would translate it differently, and they would say that what that is meant.
When you say Unitarian, Chris, that's not a whole set.
I'm talking about Arius. I'm talking like the earliest.
But I don't. Again, they're not homogeneous, right? When you say Unitarian, I'm referring to because you're equivocating on it. I'm referring to those that don't grant pre-existence. That is compatible with Islam, obviously, right?
Pre-existence meaning he isn't just a human, right?
Yeah, like he literally pre-existed.
I've never met a Unitarian that thought that Jesus
Search it up, bro. Like Rob, you agree with
had
me, right?
some kind of existence. I mean, how would you read the Gospel of John?
Rob.
As far as I'm concerned, I've never come across. I'll be honest with you, Dean. I've never come across a Unitarian. Yeah, I know a few Unitarian academics in Jehovah's Witness circles.
So Dean's first. So let's follow this along, right? We're talking about the Islamic dilemma, which was the thing that I wanted to talk to him about to begin with. It's his presentation I wanted to give comments on, and I was doing so in as respectful manner as I could possibly muster. Dean, however, is terrified of any kind of interaction between us because he knows he's not going to have any answers. So when I start to push him, he starts to make weird claims about things, and it gets good here. Dean says that regarding the statements in the Gospels where Jesus is said to be more than a prophet. So I even clarify, I'm not even saying God, I'm just saying he's more than a prophet, and that's enough to be against what the Quran says Jesus is, and hence it shows a contradiction between the Quran and the Injil. His response is to basically go as far forward as he can in history, not to go to the earliest Unitarians, Arius, for example, at the Council of Nicaea. He doesn't go to these heretical groups that are not Christian, but he's going to insist they are, because why not? That's like me saying Ahmadiyya is a Muslim, by the way, Dean. So he's going to go to... So he's going to go to Unitarians, but he's not going to go to the earliest ones, closest to the time of Isa, which you think he would, because he knows full well those kind of Unitarians are also not compatible with Islam. The earliest Unitarians were those who pushed back on Trinitarian doctrine. They did so with the understanding not that Jesus was just a mere prophet, but the understanding that Jesus was not consubstantial with the Father. And that's where they differed over the Nicene Creed, and they couldn't accept that creed because they didn't think they were the same nature. But that means that they still think that Jesus is pre-existent in a real sense, elevated above any other human and angel, in a very close and personal relationship with the Father. These are things that Arius would have believed, as well as being responsible for all of creation. Dean can't go to that because he knows that's not Islamic and that's shirk, and that shows that the Quran contradicts the Injil, and hence the Islamic dilemma passes and Islam is false. He knows that. So he brings up the most obscure modern interpretation of Unitarianism he possibly can. And I'm not talking about Jehovah's Witnesses. He's not talking about Oneness Pentecostal. He's talking about some very particular form of Unitarianism that has no historical roots whatsoever. He's basically taking an interpretation that has no basis in ancient history. It just wasn't there. The early Christians didn't think anything like the Unitarianism today. Muslims, because remember, Dean believes these guys were Muslims somehow. The Muslims at the time of Isa did not believe Unitarianism. They didn't. There's no evidence of it. He has to appeal to extreme, non-Christian, modern interpretations that weren't even around at the time of Muhammad. I found this hilarious, and I was so confused that he genuinely thought that was a good point. And me and Rob were just looking at him like, what do you want about? Like, why are you bringing, like, it's not even Unitarians, you're bringing the disregarded rut litter of the Unitarians that no one takes seriously and isn't a part of the Christian tradition, and you're thinking that's a good hill to die on. Brilliant. Love it. Now let's watch this clip from the Gospel of John chapter 16, where I show him that Jesus is said by the disciples to know all things. Let's read from the verse before. Jesus' disciples said, well, now you're speaking plainly and not using figurative language. So we're speaking plainly in a literal sense, not figuratively. Yep. Now we know that you know everything and do not need to have anyone ask you any questions. Because of this, we believe that you have come from God. And then Jesus affirms this, that he does indeed know all things. So Jesus knows all things according to John chapter 16. This is just one out of many, many examples. Is that not a form of shirk from the Islamic perspective?
No. Why? No. Because the intention here is that that this is an idiom, similar to how a woman told David in the Old Testament that now we know that you know everything on earth. This is hyperbole. This isn't literal. Now, how do we know this is hyperbole? Because we have explicit verses where Jesus says he doesn't know stuff. He says in Mark 13:32 and Matthew 24:36 that he does not know the hour. So we know contextually, and we know from the Old Testament passage
right. So
that this is hyperbole.
Okay, so there are more verses that say he knows everything than that say he doesn't know everything. You've quoted the same verse basically paralleled in the Synoptic Gospels in Matthew and Mark. There's another one.
How many times does it say that he knows everything? How many times?
More than two, for example. But you're only quoting one verse.
Where besides here?
This one, John 21 is another example, and elsewhere. Now, why I'm bringing this
John
up,
21? I don't know.
What I'm saying is, in this one in particular, right, that we're going on screen, in John 29, it says that Jesus is said to be speaking plainly, not figuratively. Yeah. So to say he's using an idiom makes no sense because he's talking.
Jesus isn't using an idiom. He's not using an idiom.
You just said he was using an idiom.
His disciples are using an. You can't even read the text, bro. His disciples are using the idiom. We now know that you're speaking clearly.
Yes. Who's speaking clearly?
Now we know everything. And
who's speaking clearly?
any questions. This is hyperbole. Jesus is going to stop using figurative language. That doesn't mean that they aren't going to stop speaking literally. That they're going to keep.
No, he has stopped speaking. This is saying you have done this.
Okay, so who said? Now we know that you know everything. Who said that?
Now we know that you know everything. That's in
Who
verse
said that?
29. That's the disciple.
Okay, so again, that can't even be possibly part of the Injil. That's the disciple speaking. That's one.
There you are.
Two.
So you do accept that actually this isn't compatible with Islam. Dean says that it's just an idiom. It's an expression. It's not meant to be taken as in a literal sense. Despite the fact that the very passage on the screen shows that the disciples themselves said that Jesus had spoken plainly to them and not figuratively. So how on earth could it be an idiom if the disciples are telling you, Jesus, you're now speaking to us plainly, and we understand you, we know that you know all things, and that you have come from God. The levels of the barrel that Dean is trying to reach is unfathomable. He wants to reach the very bottom layers because he has nothing left. He knows this isn't compatible with Islam. He knows this isn't appropriate language from an Islamic perspective for a prophet to speak. Yet he believes that these are the words of Jesus. He believes that Isa in the Quran actually said these words, like just a few verses before this, where Jesus says that all that belongs to the Father is mine. Jesus said that in the recorded Injil, which Dean supposedly believes in. But he has to do gymnastics and mental aerobics. Forget Pilates, forget yoga. This is next level stuff. He's trying to do somersaults and backflips over and over again to try and reconcile the Islamic Quran with the supposed Islamic Injil from his perspective. They don't work, they contradict, it's a mess. The Quran is an error. And in the end, he has to go to his actual real opinion anyway, which is, yeah, this, what you quoted here is the disciple speaking, not Jesus, therefore it's not part of the Injil, which is his cop-out view anyway, which is the very thing I challenged him on, and I'll cover that in a different video. But he has absolutely nowhere to run, and it's hilarious watching him run in circles. In this bit, he goes on a tangent, derails the conversation, and goes into full-on Dean not understanding basic Christian concepts. Let's watch. Very simple. Christ through, again, John chapter 1, very basic. Explains the incarnation. He is both in an incarnate state through his humanity and his divinity. John chapter 1.
Okay.
Read verses 1 to 3 and then verse 14.
Okay. So Jesus didn't know in his human nature, yeah?
Jesus didn't what, sorry?
He didn't know in his human nature?
I didn't know in his human nature, yeah.
So first of all, that's heretical according to both Eastern Orthodox and Catholics, because you're splitting Jesus into... Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. No.
Do you know what the Agnoete is? Do you know what the Agnoete is?
Wait. You're going to say that
you know what the Agnoete is?
Ignorance that Christ, I'm not saying Christ is ignorant.
You just said he doesn't know in his human nature.
Yeah, but he knows in his divine nature, so he still
I know
knows.
that's heretical.
No.
Rob,
to say that Christ is ignorant is not something I'm saying. I'm saying
I know,
that
Chris.
Christ,
I know.
Via his humanity, does not know something.
I know that. And I'm telling you that's heretical.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's do some nice theology. The basic position of the Roman Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church, as well as the majority of Protestant churches, is that Christ had two natures. We are duophysites, which I bring up in this video. He is one person, but with two natures. One human nature and one divine nature. We all say that in his divine nature, he knew all things and was omniscient. We say in his human nature, he experienced and learned new things because that is proper to be human. This way, although Christ does not know things in his human nature, he still knows all things through his divine nature, and so the one person that is Christ is not ignorant of anything and knows all things. Dean doesn't get this and confuses monophysites, which are people that think that Christ only had one nature. He accidentally thinks, because he hasn't studied this, that if a monophysite says that Christ didn't know things, that's the same as a duophysite saying that in his humanity Christ didn't know things. That's not the same. Someone who believes that Christ has two natures can have Christ know things through his divinity, but not know some things through his humanity, but because he's both human and divine, he still is said to be all-knowing. But if someone just says Christ has one nature, and that one nature doesn't know everything, then that person seems to be saying that Christ is ignorant, because there is no way in which he has any divinity to which to to know all things, to be omniscient. Dean doesn't know this and gets basic Christian theology that people learn through catechism completely wrong, and it's hilarious, and it's all captured on video. Let me prove it to you, Dean, really quick. I actually do this in the video, but I'm going to do it now, so it's just anyone who's watching can have the benefit of seeing it. This is from Vatican.va. This is what is known as the Catechism of the Catholic Church, the CCC. We read, "This human soul that the Son of God assumed is endowed with a true human knowledge. As such, this knowledge could not in itself be unlimited. It was exercised in the historical conditions of his existence in space and time. This is why the Son of Man could, when he became man, increase in wisdom and in stature, and in favour with God and man, and would even have to inquire for himself about what one in the human condition can learn only from experience. This corresponded to the reality of his voluntary emptying of himself, taking the form of a slave." That's Philippians chapter 2, verse 6. So there we have it from the Roman Catholic Church themselves, which apparently Dean did not know or bother to Google. But wait, there's more. Let's look at New Advent, a Roman Catholic site. They have the Catholic Encyclopedia there, and we can look at what that says about Christ's human nature and what that means for his knowledge via his humanity. Let's read. From the Catholic Encyclopedia we read about Christ's acquired knowledge. Jesus Christ had, no doubt, also an experimental knowledge acquired by the natural use of his faculties, through his senses and imagination, just as happens in the case of common human knowledge. To say that his human faculties were wholly inactive would resemble a profession of either monothelitism or of docetism. This knowledge naturally grew in Jesus in the process of time, according to the words of Luke chapter 2, verse 52, and Jesus advanced in wisdom and age and grace with God and man. Understood in this way, the evangelist speaks not merely of a successively greater manifestation of Christ's divine and infused knowledge, nor merely of an increase in his knowledge as far as outward effects were concerned, but of a real advance in his acquired knowledge. Not that this kind of knowledge implies an enlarged object of his science, but it signified that he gradually came to know, after a merely human way, some of the things which he had known from the beginning by his divine and infused knowledge. According to Dean, his position is that the Roman Catholic Church, New Advent, and the Catholic Encyclopedia are heretical to themselves. That's what Dean thinks. Oh man. Dean. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the character that we're dealing with here. This is the level of ignorance, the level of absolute profanity that Dean possesses without his own knowledge of such things. He is ignorant of basic Christian thought, thinking that Christian thought is heretical to itself. He's confused medieval Roman Catholic theologians like Thomas Aquinas, for example, who held that the human nature of Christ was greatly uplifted through infused knowledge from the beatic vision, for example. Some theologians would therefore respond to the question of whether or not Christ knew the hour, Mark 13:32, and the parallel in 24:36 of Matthew. Some theologians in the medieval period would say, no, we actually think he did, he just wasn't declaring it. But that's a theological position you're free to take. That's not prescribed doctrine. That's just a theological view that many theologians had in the medieval period. Is it my view? Nope. But neither having that view or not having that view is heretical. It's just a view. Dean, however, thinks it's heretical because he gets totally confused and doesn't have a clue about basically anything here. But anyway, let's keep watching.
I left the Father and came into the world. See, this I left the Father pre-existence language. And now I'm leaving the world and going back to the Father. Boom,
but
they're like...
But Rob,
that implies...
You need to stick on the point that Chris was making. So if you don't mind, Rob,
this is not compatible with Islam.
If you could just moderate me and Chris having a dialogue, right? That would be much better. So he could stick on his point that he was making.
Remember, I didn't want the stream to turn into debate.
No, but bro, when you invite Chris up, it's gonna happen. We knew that.
But then we're grown men and we can maintain.
Yeah, of course. As long as I'm speaking to him, Rob, if you don't mind, I want to speak to him. So I'm gonna get the source up right now. So you claim that it's not heretical according to Catholics, Catholics and Eastern Orthodox Christians.
You just gave a lesson to Rob that he should not deviate from what we're talking about. You're now deviating from what we're talking about.
No, because you made the claim that in his human nature, and I told you that's heretical.
Dean. That's just extra context for this passage.
So
I don't need to follow my theology
Can
back
you
1,000 steps to
share
get
my
here.
screen
I
if
don't
you
need
don't
to do
mind?
that.
Share my screen if you don't mind, Rob. I got the source up.
Oh yeah, in this clip, he picks a fight with Rob because why not? You know, if he's having difficulties with me, imagine if Rob actually put he extended his little finger, just a little bit, just extended his little finger. Rob would annihilate Dean. I don't think Dean realizes just how merciful Rob is being right now by just being this moderator who's just stepping back and not debating at all. Let's watch this next clip.
That's a Catholic source. Father John Hardin defines the Agnoeticism, as far as you guys don't know that, as follows: a sect of monophysites who held that Christ was subject to positive ignorance. The leading exponent of its error was Deacon Themisteos of Alexandria. He was condemned by the church, which declared that Christ's humanity cannot be ignorant of anything of the past or the future. You said that he was ignorant of the future.
Dean, I never said. I explicitly said.
You're interrupting,
no,
bro.
I did not say that. No. Because I'm going to bury you now. What's a monophysite? What's a monophysite?
Someone that believes in one nature.
Do I believe in one nature?
No, you don't. But what you just said.
Thank you very much. You just demonstrated. You just demonstrated.
Did you say Jesus doesn't know his human nature?
Accurately reflect my
view. Does Jesus know his human nature?
Am I being described in that description there that you gave on the screen?
Yes, you are.
So I'm a monophysite, even though I explicitly said I believe in two natures. That's the whole issue you had.
Rob, share my screen, Rob.
Dean, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Bro, you just interrupted me. Can you just...
I interrupted you because I wasn't going to let you get away with that.
No problem.
I was not going to let you get away with that.
Very simple, very simple.
You literally showed on screen that you think I'm a monophysite when I explicitly said I believe in the two natures of Christ.
Doesn't matter if you believe in two natures.
It literally says it's a sect of monophysitism.
Listen. Did you say that Jesus doesn't know his human nature? Yes or no?
Yes. Where does it say here?
Okay.
That's saying that is
there.
Where? Show me.
Brother, look at this. From Ludwig. So here's another source. We're gonna look at both of them and we're gonna reread them. No problem. Here's a second source. This source, Fundamentals of Catholic Dogma, cites a bunch of texts.
Do Catholics believe in two natures?
Showing that Jesus.
Do Catholics believe in two natures?
You've never seen these sources before. Can you stop speaking?
Can Catholics believe in two natures?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so it's not heretical then, because this person who is writing as a Catholic can no way be implying that it's heretical, because that would make no sense if they're literally writing.
I'm sorry that
his
you
own
don't
position
know.
is heretical.
Chris, it's fine. You're not a Catholic. No problem. You're not a Catholic. It's fine.
First of all, how do you know I'm not a Catholic? First of all, but second of all, is why are you quoting a Catholic trying to argue that the Catholic is saying his own belief is heretical?
No, the Catholic doesn't believe Jesus doesn't know his human nature.
Really? Wait. Do Catholics believe in two natures?
Yes, but once you say, let me explain to you.
By the way, we have a Catholic Muslim Anam here.
As soon as you say that Jesus doesn't know his human nature, their whole argument, Chris, is that you're splitting the persons. That's their whole argument. So have a look at this. He says, so this is Fundamentals of Catholic Dogma by Ludwig. He cites all these verses. So with this bro, I'm quoting his scholarship. Can you just stop? With this is irreconcilable the notion that Christ's human knowledge is defective or erroneous. We can reread the other source as well. Father John Hardin defines the Agnoeticism, those who held the heresy, as follows: a sect of monophysites who held that Christ was subject to positive ignorance.
I'm not a monophysite. I don't hold that he has positive ignorance.
Why are you focusing so much on this?
Because it's your own source you brought on the screen, bro.
I'm not calling him monophysite. I'm saying
that's what your source says.
Oh my
God,
your
source
so
says
fallacious.
From a Catholic that this is describing monophysites.
Okay, watch this.
Listen, Dean. Let me. Give
why was he condemned by the church?
No.
Which declared that Christ's humanity cannot
I'll
be
explain to you why. Let me give you a free lesson here.
Read it.
Monophysitism is problematic, right, from the Catholic and Orthodox and the Protestant perspective.
Of course,
because it says that Christ has one nature.
One nature,
and then in that way, it's difficult to understand verses like Mark 13:32 and Matthew 24:36. When you contrast that with the clear teachings of John 16:30, John 21, and John 2. Now let me finish. The reason why is because if you have one nature, it would seem as if you would be close to saying that Christ was ignorant. Absolutely, like he is just completely ignorant. That is heretical. That's why the Catholic Church condemns it, the Orthodox and Protestant churches as well. What I hold to is the total not anything like that, because I believe, as the Catholic Church does, as the Orthodox Church do, and the Protestant, that Christ has two natures, a human nature and a divine nature. And therefore, it cannot be said that him as a person is ignorant because he does know via or qua his divine nature. This is basic theology.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I know it's basic theology.
Look how we've got on this massive tangent for this.
What he's saying is not that you're monophysite. He's saying those that say this to attribute ignorance to Christ's
as a
human
whole.
nature.
In other words,
let me
he
ask you
has
something.
nothing.
No, I just let you speak, Chris. I just let you speak. 1 second. To attribute ignorance for Christ's human nature is to profess Nestorianism. Let me ask you a
Because
question.
if you only have one nature,
brother, I just
what
let
are
you
you
speak.
doing?
Can you stop? Can you
No,
stop?
because you're butchering things.
Did you attribute ignorance to Christ's human nature? Yes or no?
As someone who thinks that there is only one nature, that would be massively problematic. That's what this is saying to you. Because if you think there's only one nature, monophysitism, you would think that one nature is what?
That's not what it's saying.
Human and divine. Bro, are you
read
trying to
this
teach
before.
me what Catholicism
You're
is? Are you trying to do
reinterpreting
that?
the heck out of this text.
Wait, Dean, what is
saying?
Dean?
Guys,
Dean,
can you as Christians just explain to him, like, is what I'm saying like foreign?
Wait, Dean, are you putting on Chris that he's a monophysite?
No, I'm
He's
not.
saying I am. Yeah, he
I'm
thinks I
not.
think there's only one nature.
No. So, Chris,
and the nature is human.
I can explain. I can explain what I meant, Chris. No problem. What I'm saying is the same thing that these guys are saying, and the same thing that any Catholic and Eastern Orthodox will tell you. That you can't say Jesus didn't know the hour in his human nature because this leads to
Nestorianism. If he only has one nature.
Bert, can you let me finish? Because it leads to Nestorianism, such as what Pope Vigilus said. If anyone says that the one Jesus Christ, who is both true Son of God and true Son of Man, did not know the future or the last day of the hour's judgment, and that he could not know only as much as the divinity dwelling in him, as in another revealed to him, anathema sit. He's anathematized. Now, this is the council that he's referring to. The Agnoeticism is the heresy that Christ's human nature was deficient of knowledge. As it says here, in 599, this is a binding council for Catholics and Eastern Orthodox. Pope Gregory I wrote to Patriarch Eulogius of Alexandria to draw his attention to the Agnoetics, to ask him for his advice. Gregory condemned the Agnoetics as heretics, as did Eulogius, who had written a treatise against them. Condemned the condemned the Agnoeticism, and it was condemned at the Lateran Council, etc., etc. The council declaring.
But does Agnoeticism fit under a dual nature context or a singular nature?
No. It also the whole point is that this leads to Nestorianism because you have a human Jesus that doesn't.
If you're a monophysite.
Brother, you got no idea about the text. You've never read the book before.
What's an Agnoeticism, Dean? What is Agnoeticism? What is the group?
Agnoeticism is to separate the persons into two persons, a human person and a divine person, nature. By declaring, brother, you're not letting me finish. If you ask me a question, you gotta let me speak. You can't
speak the truth.
So the Agnoeticism is essentially when you split the persons into two persons and by saying Jesus is human. Are you okay?
And with what?
Bert.
With what? One nature, Dean. That's the whole point.
No, it never says that. Give me one definition that says that. It didn't say that. It said that a sect.
I just googled it. The Agnoetics were a monophysite Christian sect. Thank you.
Where does it say?
Wikipedia. The first thing I googled.
No. Where does it say the heresy is that you just believe in one nature, not that you split the persons? Where does it say that?
It's nothing to do with it. It's the fact it's one nature that you claim is ignorant. That's the problem.
We just read from 3 Catholic sources saying that you can't say Jesus is human nature.
The Agnoetics. They're talking about the Agnoetics. They are people who say that Christ has one nature and the nature is ignorant. Guys, actually, anyone, Rob, please put on screen. Google Agnoetics and show him that they're monophysites, because this is just getting insane now. So when the Pope is talking about Agnoetics and condemning them, he's condemning monophysites. So well done, Dean. You've shown
he's not. He's condemning those that believe Jesus didn't know his human nature.
Yes, monophysites.
No, as just monophysite.
Okay, can you show me he gives the name of another group?
I'll get you the reference. I'll get you the reference.
Yeah, give me where he takes duophysite groups and says that they're condemned. Show me that.
Are you Catholic? Are you Catholic as in you hold yourself to the Apostolic Church?
Universal Church, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what do you ascribe to specifically? Which denomination?
I'm sort of more ecumenical.
Okay. Both, and Anam can confirm this for me as well. It's not just the Roman Catholic side, it's the Eastern Orthodox side. They believe this is heretical. Only the Protestants, and even the Protestants are split on this. There is a group where they would say, yeah, you can say that. But then they're just Nestorians because it necessarily entails a human Jesus and a divine Jesus.
That's you.
I agree with that.
Adding another argument on it.
No. I agree with Catholic dogma and Eastern Orthodox
also,
dogma.
Again, you've derailed this entire argument. You notice how we ended up going away? No, because I wanted to explain this, and you were like, no, let's bring up the you brought them up, Dean. You completely
Because your
derailed this whole
explanation was heretical.
That's,
That's why.
It doesn't. Wait. Hang on. Me looking at the text and giving a plain reading of it and showing it's not Islamic has nothing to do with it.
Okay,
Like
so the plain reading contradicts Catholic dogma, is what you're saying?
No, the plain reading contradicts Islamic Quran. Very simple.
Yeah, because
you
the
then went,
original discussion was...
Let's talk about Catholic and Orthodox theology. You took it that way because you derailed from the original point. The original point, which you have not
because
yet
your
answered.
explanation is heretical. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Your Quran is still false.
Do you admit it's heretical?
That's all the thing. Your Quran is still false, Dean. You can't pivot like this, man. We can see what you're doing.
Do you agree?
I made a point that your Quran does not agree with the Injil.
You're not honest.
Each other.
Do you admit that you were wrong?
Do you admit that the Quran contradicts the Injil?
It contradicts the parts that are intended to be false. Yes.
Is this one of these parts? Are these one of these parts?
Allahu alam. But I know my interpretations of the Gospels are more probable than your ad hoc reinterpretations.
No, I gave a plain reading. I even quoted you a verse where Jesus is said to be speaking plainly, and you still went, no, it's an idiom.
Okay, beautiful. You said that Jesus knows all things. I told you it's hyperbole. I gave you Old Testament passage. Plus, I gave you an explicit
an Old Testament passage.
Plus, I gave you, wait, let me finish.
Doesn't say that speaking plainly.
Plus, I gave you an explicit passage where Jesus doesn't know the hour. Now, you failed to debunk Jesus not knowing the hour. So wait. I don't need to debunk that at all. I just need to appeal to the fact that the Scripture says that Jesus knows all things. Yeah, and I just need to appeal to the Scripture that says Jesus doesn't know everything because he doesn't know the hour.
And I have, again, we can explain this through two natures. That's it. That's enough for me to get that.
What do you mean?
The ground.
We just explained to you it's heretical. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, bro?
No.
He just told you it's heretical.
You're saying, is the Council of Chalcedon heretical?
No.
The Council of Chalcedon affirms duophysitism.
No, the Council of Chalcedon clarifies heresy. Yeah.
Wait. So the Council of Chalcedon does not in any way affirm duophysitism, right? No. Brother. What?
Brother. The development of doctrine in 581, where the councils developed, you had this idea of two natures, yes.
Oh, I thought it was heretical.
I never said, bro.
You literally been saying that duophysitism is heretical.
Anam, did I ever say that?
You're saying that to say that Jesus is ignorant in his knowledge, in his
human nature leads to two persons. Yes, two persons.
No. Actually, you changed it. No,
I didn't.
You see what you just did there?
No, I didn't.
You said it leads to two persons. No. You said it was heresy. You said I believed in heresy.
Because it leads to Nestorianism, yeah.
See, now you've changed it. See what he's done?
No, I didn't.
No. You said that duophysitism.
I want a third party. I want a third party.
Anam is he's our third party. Right.
Anam,
so duophysitism is affirmed in the Council of Chalcedon. Thank you very much. It's not heretical. It's basic Orthodox teaching.
Yeah, I want to hear what Anam has to say. Yeah.
Okay, so both of you kind of just missed your intentions for a sec. Chris is saying, by a plain reading of the text, I can say duophysitism can explain how Christ doesn't know the hour. You're saying that that council doesn't affirm what he's saying, which is that Christ doesn't know the hour. So that's the trains missed their connection for.
No, but Anam, have I ever changed my perspective about him being heretical here is due to Nestorianism?
Oh, what?
Can you put that link up just to show?
Yeah, so you did read the thing earlier, Dean.
Sure.
You are correct in this. You read that Catholic thing earlier where it says that entails Nestorianism.
Yes.
The monophysism, this hard.
Oh, you mean share the screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, but in the paragraph we read, the last quote we had about it said Luther affirmed a vast amount of knowledge to Christ, but not omniscience, which is very interesting. I didn't know. So I mean, in other words, anyone after Luther could affirm what Chris is saying, though.
Can you highlight the bit where it says it is accepted by the majority?
So that's why Chris is not terribly worried about you saying that Catholics and Orthodox consider it wrong.
No, but Chris says that it's not heretical according to them.
That's it, yeah. So it is accepted by the majority of Christian denominations, including the Catholic Church, Eastern Orthodox Church, Church of the East, Anglicanism, Methodism, Reformed Christianity, and Lutheranianism. It is, there you go. So yeah, thank you very much.
I never rejected
No. He's not talking about duophysitism. He understands that duophysitism is the mainstream Christian doctrine post-Chalcedon and Ephesus. But the thing is that what he's saying is that to say Christ is ignorant has been not the mainstream Christian position.
Right, because the term Christ is ignorant has connotations and is used polemically, historically, against people like the Agnoeticism and so on. People who were saying Christ has one nature and that nature does not know all things.
No, it's not because of that.
Oh, my days,
brother.
my days.
Chris, Catholic dogma.
You know the Gospels say that Christ learned and grew in wisdom, right?
Brother, I know. That's why it's so
right. So that's that
it's
basic
so
position. That
that's
the
why,
human.
that's why,
No, Dean. This is why it's so
it's
basic
stupid.
and so common that you're being weird here. Not
brother.
The humanity grew and learned in wisdom.
Listen,
the divinity did not.
Anam,
basic position.
Anam,
are
you? Wait, I just want to ask.
Okay.
Anam,
Yes, sir.
So, are you a Catholic?
I mean, I like their theology a lot.
Okay. But you're a Muslim.
Yes.
Okay, no problem. So, have you ever looked into the Agnoeticism heresy at all, or is it just that quote from Aquinas that you're familiar with?
Yeah, actually, I didn't know that Catholics didn't agree with it. I think I learned it from watching your show, actually. But
okay.
But yeah, I didn't know Catholics would have condemned it. But I didn't jump into the Catholic Answers. I mean, should we read what the Catholic Answers kind of says? Because
Yeah.
how do we figure this out? Because but I guess what Chris would be saying is, though, I can get away with this with, so to speak, with a plain reading of the text. Which, in his defense, I mean, we can reason our way through something without going into the weeds of what happened at Ephesus and Chalcedon, which I'm.
But the thing is, Chris
I've just got a quick
doesn't
story
believe
here.
that the Catholic position is that it's heretical, which we need to get by before we get into the reading. Yeah,
wait, the Catholic position is heretical. What?
No,
Well,
I never said that. Oh my
What do you
god.
say?
In other words,
As you can see, Dean is learning some new things today, and it's exciting for everyone. I got to the point where I was basically just like, look, Google the first thing you read about this. Just literally Google, does Christ learn in his human nature? Like, just Google it, and then ask, like, do Roman Catholics believe this? I was like bringing up Wikipedia pages to just give basic definitions of what the Agnoetae were and Monophysites were, and Dean was like rejecting it all. And Dean was just like, no, don't accept any of this for some reason. But anyway, there's a great bit where he just rage quits.
That's what I'm saying.
My position is the same in this sense.
No, it's not.
Because we're
Why
not
am I
talking about
different?
or duophysitism.
Because
We're
they say
talking
you
about-
can't say he doesn't know his human nature. I was literally speaking.
I literally
to
just
someone-
wait. I just googled it, right? AI summary in the Catholic understanding, Jesus grew in knowledge.
Where?
and favor as
Where are you
human
reading
being.
from? Where are you reading
Not because
from?
he was ignorant or lacked divine
Where?
knowledge, but because
Where?
his human intellect
And
developed
when?
through
From
experience. And they
From
quote
where?
Luke 2:52, which is what I was referring to.
Where?
Just Google.
That's really
Do the first Google result for
What do you mean
Catholic,
the first
Roman
Google-
Catholic,
what's-
Jesus grew
what's
in
the
knowledge.
source? Share your screen. Share your screen for us.
Literally just Googling the first thing, and you guys are like, no, it's not real.
I want to see the source, bro. I don't know.
My
what
point
the
is
first thing
literally, it's a AI summary.
Share your
that gives
screen for
sources.
us. Share your screen for us, and then let's have a read.
I am summary. Right,
Okay,
so let's go
see.
through this. In the summary,
AI
I literally
summary,
just Googled.
You're
Yeah.
a waste of time, bro. You're a waste of time.
It
Seriously.
quotes from the Catholic Encyclopedia.
You're a waste of time.
The Catholic Encyclopedia.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a waste of time.
With the Catholic
You're
Encyclopedia.
you're a waste of time.
Wait,
to
Dean,
Catholic
assume-
Encyclopedia.
You're a waste
be
of time.
careful.
Dean,
Don't.
Dean, you've been
Let's
caught
not
out.
devolve
Dean.
into that.
You've been caught out. I literally Googled it, and it referenced. Did he leave?
Yeah, I think he dropped.
I mean,
Come on,
There's
man.
a
This is so
bunch of sources
basic. I feel like I'm.
there's a link.
Ugh.
You were gonna jump
Wait,
out though,
I
Chris.
I don't know if he.
Um,
Wait, is he back? I
Preferably,
don't know.
if he comes
No.
back, we'll stay for the 10 minutes. But
No, he said you're a waste of time, and he left.
Wow.
Oh no, sorry, no. I was just shifting screens. I was just wondering if he's back in backstage. No, he's not.
Okay.
He starts like insulting because he's realized he's been called out. I bring up my screen where I just ask the question. The AI overview agrees with me completely and references the Catholic Encyclopedia, which is what I showed earlier. Dean gets upset and he rage quits. So beautiful stuff. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you like this video. I'll make some more out of this big long debate we had because there was a lot of things to cover. This is probably already like 30-40 minutes. I don't know. If this is not 30-40 minutes, leave me a comment saying well done, because that means I did really well in the editing. But anyway, this is what we see when Dean is forced to debate. He pivots and gives every excuse not to debate, which is what you expect. Anyway, God bless you all. That includes you, Dean, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.
No. I agree with Catholic dogma.